Hey y'all, welcome back. So this is the video that will go with the activity for Wednesday and Thursday, focusing on energy flow and feeding relationships in the Pacific Northwest. Now I am going to be leaving my master copy. This is the master copy that you guys need in order to use for reference. The master copy is located in the interactive notebook. Feel free to use it. Don't take my notebook. You may view it, you may take pictures, leave the notebook there. I need to have access to it so that I can refer to it on later dates, but this is here to help you. Now, I've highlighted all of this information in pink so that you guys can know what to use. If you happen to see any yellow highlights, that means that you should not be writing that. So for instance, on the side, I have some notes that say, do not write this, don't write that part. But you can use the rest of the information to kind of help get you through the rest of it. And I'll kind of go step by step for what you should do, okay? For your first part, which is part 1, creating a food chain and energy pyramid, they ask you a series of questions, starting from number 1 and number 2, and then on down for part 1. For number 1, it asks you how many producers you have. For the most part, you should remember that a producer is a plant that is going through photosynthesis and producing energy for all of the other species that are eating it. In this case, you have 2. Now, how I found 2, I'm referring to the cards that are listed in the back of your packet. It is a couple pages, so you can see I've got quite a few here. You may look through these and identify how many of the producers that are there, but for the most part, I've already helped you out, and I put 2, and that's kelp and phytoplankton. Okay, now phytoplankton are for the most part these microscopic plants that live in the water and absorb different nutrients and things from the water. Okay, so if you've ever seen the ocean look a little bit greenish, most likely that's because there's phytoplankton in that area. Okay, or some other plants. Now the part where it says how many consumers do you have, I've left this blank, and I also listed a portion here that says look on the cards to determine how many there are. You know, consumers are, for the most part, your animals and everything that might be consuming or relying on the producers in order to survive. Okay, so everything else that's in the cards, those are consumers. You will need to find that answer on your own. Now in the next box, I have listed an example here. You may use this example or you may create your own. It's up to you. However, be mindful to review these points right here where it says draw your food chain in the box below. Label the trophic level of each organism in your food chain as follows: producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. Use species names and arrows in the right direction to illustrate energy flow. Okay, so you're showing that the energy is going up from this point. I've included my tertiary consumer here, and I've listed humans. Okay, so think of that as well. And the only reason I put humans here is because humans, for the most part, are hunting them. Not necessarily consuming, but they are being hunted. So for this one, I have kelp, sea urchin, sea otter, and then humans at the very top. You can feel free to make your own if you see another apex predator or another animal that fits into the trophic level for tertiary consumers, okay? For number 4, this is going back to the 10% energy transfer rule that we reviewed on the final and in the Africa unit, okay? I've listed what you should be doing on the side. So for each of these levels of the pyramid, you should be knocking off 1 0. That would be the equivalent of divided by 10 in order to get your answer for how many kilocalories should fit. Here goes another example. So I left this dash here to show that there was a 0 here and I removed it. On the other side of the food pyramid, I've also listed which one of these levels go with the trophic level. Okay, so the level of the pyramid should have an associated trophic level. You may copy this down. This level at the very bottom that I'm pointing to should have a producer in it. For example, kelp or phytoplankton. All the rest of these you will need to fill in on your own. You may put whichever ones you like. You may also use the ones that you've listed in your food chain in this box. At the very bottom on question number 5, they ask you to complete one to two sentences about how the available energy is actually going to affect the marine ecosystem. Now, for this, I wrote you a helpful hint. Think about the initial number of consumers that were there. So I'm talking about the sea otters in general, which were originally listed as the apex predators in this particular food chain. And this was like that until the orcas actually started eating them because there weren't enough seals. If you think about that particular item, that's going to help you to figure out how the available energy actually affects this food chain. If you list orca here, you skip over sea urchins, etc., and the sea otters. So please make sure that you are including that and think about how that actually will affect the available energy that's there. If you think about that, sea otters would then be at the top, then sea urchins and whatever else could go here. Whatever else eats the sea urchins that the sea otters are also eating. You may want to do research for this. You may use your phones. Computers will not be available. On the second page, I've only listed a little bit of things here because I feel like you got the rest of it, and some of it you will need to do on your own. For number 7, you will need to determine all of the trophic levels for the organisms that are listed in the species cards. So you'll need to figure out whether the abalone is a primary consumer, secondary consumer, or tertiary consumer. Same with sharks, sea otters, and the other organisms that are listed there. For number 8, it asks you for your explanation, and they want you to explain why the available energy within each level, or explain what happens to the available energy in each level that you see on the side. And they want you to fill in your food pyramid again. Now for this one, I want you to think about what actually happens for your own life, okay? And this refers to the refrigerator analogy that I've given to you here in class either on Thursday last week or Friday last week, okay? So use these things to kind of help you. And think about what will happen if those organisms are not able to get the energy that they need. Or if they do get it, what would happen, okay? So that's the answer that I'm looking for you guys to put here. If you are feeling like you're unable to finish for whatever reason, please go ahead and take some additional time to complete this. You will have the remainder of the week to kind of get things done, and feel free to work together, collaborate, ask questions, ask each other some things, and try to find ways for you to get the help that you need so that you can do this particular activity. I hope all goes well and that you are able to do it as best you can. Make sure that you turn it in to the box or to your substitute teacher. All right, I'm wishing you guys the best. Have a great day.